gym time over here. Super excited. So help me welcome. I'm so excited for today's class. I want to see if we are live. By the way, anyone on, we are live on Facebook right now. I'd love for you guys to share this to expand the conversation. We have got a treat for you guys today. Super excited. Ms. Kelly is a digital marketer, over a decade and a half of experience with social marketing, SEO, project management. Absolutely loves people, helping people step into their voice, and really helping people discover, what their brand is and getting it out there into the world. She's super passionate about working with women, specifically female entrepreneurs, but men, this is for you too. There will be some great content here that I know people of all ages can relate to. But really showing people how to grow a successful business online. So for anybody who aspires to really expand their reach online, you've got an incredible resource here. And at the end of the show, we'll definitely share her details, so you can reach out to her if you're needing help with, branding, SEO, anything with website. You guys can definitely contact her. So super excited about it. But she knows a lot, that most business owners, they don't lack heart, they don't lack hustle, hard work. But, it's just marketing expertise and like how to get it out there that many times is just lacking. So her business is at loudblonde.com, and she really shares a lot of that. So Kelly, thank you so much for coming live on the show today.
Absolutely.
I know we've super excited for you to share a little bit of your story. And just so you guys know, I met Kelly through one of our masterminds. And the thing that struck me immediately was just the energy that she had, and really just, I just saw this incredible energy that flowed around her. And I wanted to get to know her more. And I'm excited to have you here on the show because I know we haven't had a chance to have, lots of conversations, but I've watched you interact with everyone. I saw you speak on stage this past week and share some of your story. And I was definitely inspired by that and thought that, man, our audience could really use some of what you've got. So thank you again for joining us. So you can share a little bit about your background and really where Loud Blonde came from. That would be fantastic.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It's so awesome to see you again since Austin last week.
Oh, I've been on the road. I'm like, Austin, Houston. Oh, yeah. I just landed in San Francisco 30 minutes ago.
I feel like we're traveling in reverse. I was just in San Francisco, then in Austin. Now I'm here. Then I'm going to Miami, which you guys hang out in a lot. So yeah, yep. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Okay. So yeah, Loud Blonde. Well, basically, my history is I was in corporate America for 15 years. I basically did whatever my parents told me to do growing up. So it was kind of like, it wasn't like, what college are you going to? Are you going to college? It's what college can you get into?
Mm-hmm.
It's not, are you getting a degree? It's what degree is going to get you the best job after college? So I just kind of followed I went to my parents' alma mater for high school and then went to AP classes because they'd get me into a better college, went to my parents' alma mater for college. And then got a communications degree because I really didn't, let's be honest, I really just wanted to live in Italy and study art history and eat pizza all day. And my dad didn't think that'd be a great use of a college education. So I just got a degree in communications because I figured that would be, I don't know, something to get a degree in because I just really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I just kind of stumbled into marketing right out of college and have just kind of climbed the corporate ladder from job to job to job. And I just remember being in my 20s. I had moved to San Diego, which is where I live now. And I was driving back home from my job and I just felt like I was like broken. I was so unhappy and I just couldn't figure out why, because I was living in this beautiful paradise. I had a bunch of new friends. I was still partying all the time. That's back in the day when I could actually go party on a weeknight and still make it to work on time, not looking haggard. But yeah, I just didn't get why I couldn't be fulfilled because I had a good job. I was making okay money. I lived in this great location and all my friends seemed to be really happy. But I've just always felt that there was this piece of me missing and that I was kind of like this misfit who couldn't, I was like the one puzzle piece that couldn't fit in these corporate jobs. And that happened all through my 20s into my 30s. And I just kind of kept either getting myself out of a job or pushing other people to help me leave a job, if you get what I'm saying. And so, I got let go in a mass layoff in May of 2017 from my last corporate job. I was a project manager and a product owner for a great development team in a marketing department at a big company here in San Diego. And that was the last time I just said, you know what? I can't pretend that I'm this corporate ladder climber anymore. It's not fulfilling my soul. I feel like I'm being called to do something so much bigger and better than this with my time. And so, that was the inspiration. I kind of got quiet with myself, spun up this really random e-commerce company that's still online. You can find it. It's prettytipsy.co because I love wine. So I was like, well, I should at least start a business about something that I love. And I love drinking wine. So dabbled in the e-commerce space for a little bit. And then just really felt like I wasn't really, using my talents to the best of my ability, selling funny wine themed t-shirts. And I got really quiet December in 2017. And the idea by January 1st of Loud Blonde just came to me. And I think it's the idea of not listening to external sources. So not listening to societal pressures, not listening to the pressures your parents put on you to have a secure job or to marry a certain person or to have a certain career track if you don't feel in your soul that that's what you should be doing. The idea of getting loud is actually tuning inside and listening to your loudest voice and really letting that guide your decisions instead of listening to everyone else around you. And so, Loud Blonde was born in January 2018. And I just really am on a mission to help women, especially find their inner loudest voice and just live their most authentic life and do things that just kick ass instead of just dying in a cubicle every day because someone said they should.
Absolutely. And by the way, Kelly, I can resonate with so much that you just said, and I watch friends. I've watched friends for almost 2 decades, just hate their life or because they're supposed to do this, but they're just not happy. And that was actually what created the spark in me of like, man, I want to help people start businesses because I loved the time and money freedom that it provided to do what I want when I wanted. And I can't imagine when they're like, well, I don't have vacation time or I can't do this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I would hate to be stuck behind this, desk. But I remember at first when I was in college feeling that pressure, and I felt that pressure, from I guess more my mom, I'd say my parents, but I think I put it on myself thinking it's what my parents wanted because I was pushed so hard in high school to like achieve. And it was more so because they wanted me to have the opportunity to have a college education. I found this out later from my dad, at least on his end. And they knew they couldn't afford it. So by me getting good grades, it gave me a chance to go to college and have that paid for. But I remember my junior year, I was studying abroad and I had worked really hard to save up money and I was studying abroad and I had been an accounting major my first 2 years. My dad was a CPA. My mom kept books at a nursing home. And it was just kind of like what they did. And like, we were good at math and numbers. So I was like, all right, I'm an accountant major. And I just remember going to London to study abroad with a history department. I remember that was the only semester that I could go without graduating, pushing my graduation, or actually, no, it was going to cause that. I remember talking to my dad. I said, Dad, I want to study abroad. I said, the only program available in the fall is with the history department, which has nothing to do with accounting. And I was waiting for my dad to be like, don't waste your time, like keep on track, do your thing. And I'm so happy that he didn't, because this completely changed the trajectory of my life. But he looked at me and he goes, go. I said, huh? I said, really? I said, but if I go, it's going to push my graduation back a year. Instead of me graduating in 3 years from college, I'll be the full 4, which I had also taken all these AP classes to get ahead. Yep. And he said, okay, well, look at your life. You have this small chapter, which is college, even if you went for 8 years or 10 years to college, and then you have work, which is the next couple, however many decades it is for you. And he goes, so let's say college was 5 years or 3 years and work was 30, or college was 4 years and work was 29, or college was 5 years. And he's like, this is the small, like, enjoy. I was like, oh, okay. And I remember when I went and studied abroad, my dad had come to visit. My parents came and we were talking about things. And he said, why are you doing accounting? And again, not everyone has this blessing. And I see other parents that really put that pressure. And I said, well, I mean, I just felt like it's what you guys wanted me to do or what I should do. And, and he's like, you're somebody who is, has this voice and loves people and is out there. He's like, you'd be miserable behind a desk. And I was like, yeah, I would be. And he's like, you need to go do like marketing, sales, go out there and do something with people. And that's really where I just started thinking, and I said, okay, I'm going to switch. And I switched to international business with a minor in marketing and accounting. And it was so fun. Like my last year and a half, I had such a blast. And I was like, I will never, and then I started working with Cutco Cutlery in direct sales. And once I got a taste of that, I was like, oh my God, I can never work like for someone in an office. And I've been very blessed for 17 years to have been my own boss and have started different businesses. And I love what you do, because there are so many people that, want to start business, but they have no idea, how to get the word out there. There's a lot of discouragement. I do a lot of the how-tos, and then we need people to get it out there. But people live in this conformed box of this is what I'm supposed to be, and keep that like inner voice of what they want to do or what might be exciting to them super quiet, because it doesn't conform to what they've heard, or it doesn't conform to societal things, right? And so they just stay quiet and they're miserable for decades.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think you said something really interesting too, in that, your dad was asking why you wanted to do accounting when your strengths are really, you're a people person, you're outgoing. Mm-hmm. So obviously your strengths and your personality is going to lend itself better to something like sales. And same with me, like just embodying this like loud persona that I've always had. But it was a weakness for me in a corporate setting, in that I'm a huge questioner, and it's taken me 2 years to really figure this out, why I get fired from jobs a lot. It's because I question authority. And so I want to know the reason why you're asking me to do something. I want buy-in for me and my team, and then we'll deliver great results. But I'm not someone who's just going to let you pile work and pile work and pile work for no reason. Right. Like I want to know the reasoning behind what our priorities are. And so that got me in a lot of trouble in corporate America. But once I figured that out, I'm like, actually, that's a strength of mine. So how can I leverage that strength? And where I really leverage it is for clients. I ask them a ton of questions. They come to me with, I have people come to me with just the weirdest ideas of businesses they want to start. And I really can drill down to where I'm like, okay, is this a niche that you've even researched? Is this something you're going to want to still be in 5 years? Just dig deeper, deeper, and just keep asking the right questions to really not help people start any business they want because they think it'll be fun and easy to have a side hustle. It's like, no, what are your strengths? What's the niche that you're really interested in? And how can we combine those two to actually make a business that you're going to want to run, you're going to want to do the grind day to day, and that you'll be excited to market, So I really think a lot of people don't take time to figure out their strengths and really ask themselves, like, what is it I want to do? Exactly how your dad said, let's say you graduate from college at 22, you have until 65. My parents are 70 and still haven't retired. So you have, oh my God, 50 years at work. You better like what you're doing every day, because that sounds miserable to clock horrible out at a job that you don't like. So if you're someone listening to this and you're sitting at a job that you hate going to, and you get those
Sunday
scaries where you have this pit of anxiety in your stomach every Sunday because you're so terrified of the week to start, it's time to go inside and do some journaling and do some research and figure out what it is that you really should be doing with your time, because life is too short. None of us are guaranteed an 80-year-old life, a 90-year-old life. If you die next year, are you going to be happy that you spent all this time punching a clock for someone else because you had job security? I don't know. Maybe yes. Some people are okay with that. I'm not.
Oh, amen. I could speak for hours to that. We'll see that for another day. But talk to us about your loud acronym. I think it's pretty awesome what you created there. Chat about that.
Yeah. So I'm in the middle of writing my first book, which, Kathy, I feel like I don't know your story about writing your book, but when I met you on that bus at Best Year Ever in December, you're just like, oh yeah, I wrote a book, and you made it sound so easy. And I just had this instant just jealousy, because this book has been the hardest damn thing I've ever had to write. So I have a copywriting background. I used to be an editor for NBC forever. And so I'm like, oh, I can write all day long. Writing a book, it'll take me a month or two. Oh my gosh, it is so painful. So anyway, I digress. But
that's because you're a perfectionist.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You get stuck writing.
Yeah, I get stuck in editor mode. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so basically, I created an acronym for the book just to make it more digestible, like what being loud actually means. And so that the L in loud stands for letting go. And this is letting go of your expectations and also others' expectations. So we'll start with others' expectations first. I feel like I was raised in, my parents are still married. God bless them. They've been married like 45 years. So I was raised thinking that I needed to get married once in the Catholic Church and I would be with that person forever. I was taught I needed to go to the best college and get a degree that was marketable so then I could have a great job, and I needed to make at least 100 grand a year because to me that meant success. You know, so we're taught all these things by society, by our religion, you know, by all these pressures that friends and family put on us, and that's a lot to live up to. So in order to tune into your own voice, you just need to let go of all those external expectations that the world puts on you.
By the way, I want to pause real quick. We've got some guys watching on here. Most of our listeners go on, they see the replay, but I would love for you guys to comment on here as we go through. And Kelly, if we can pause after each letter, you know, what is something, and you guys can comment. I'd love to hear what's going on and what's going on out there, but what is something that you feel like an expectation you set that either others set for you that you felt you had to live up to, or one that you've set for yourself that maybe has been causing a lot of stress and anxiety for you? Would love to hear so we can really keep this conversation going beyond just the class today. So go on.
I love that. I love that. So then, and then just let go of your own expectations. Like for example, when I got laid off, I was like, all right, I'm going to spin up this like e-commerce business. And of course I like buy all the courses online and I'm watching all this stuff on YouTube. And so I'm getting, you know, marketed at that. Oh yeah, starting a Shopify store, you'll be making 10 grand a month, super easy, $1,000 a day right after that, blah, blah. So I put all these expectations on me and my little brand new Shopify store. And of course I didn't meet any of those metrics out of the gate because I didn't know Facebook marketing. I didn't know Facebook ad, you know, like paid advertising. And so it's like, we all put all this pressure on ourselves. And so you really have to realize, and just like you were saying, you put all this pressure on yourself because you thought it's what your parents wanted. Perfect example for me, I ended up getting divorced 3 years after I got married. And I was so terrified to call my parents and tell them that my marriage wasn't working. And then when I called them, they were so understanding. They're like, don't stay in this for us. If you're unhappy and you're in an unhealthy relationship, oh my gosh, take care of yourself. We will always be there for you. What do you need? And so it was like all these, I thought external expectations, but it really was my internal expectations was where the fear was coming from. So I think that's the L in loud is letting go of expectations.
And by the way, I laughed because I went through the same thing and I got divorced. Like I had waited to like do it right. And so find the person to be with forever. And at 29, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm almost 30. I got married. And a year later, it was like, I tried, I went to counseling and I was freaking out. I was like, I waited to do this right. And I felt like such a failure to my family for, you know, because you just don't get divorced. My grandma's like, you got married, you stay with them no matter what, you committed to it. I dealt with your grandpa, you know, he was a drunk, this and that, whatever. And I had this pressure.
If I had to do it with your grandpa, you have to do it.
And then, but I remember when it happened and I shared like the whys and what had happened behind the scenes, my grandma's like, I'm glad you left it, you know, and I was just like, huh? You know, and I didn't expect that. And so I was staying in this relationship and I was just not happy and it felt so wrong because I just wasn't being true to myself and I was just trying to hit certain expectations of like what I should be doing, but I wasn't there yet, you know? So I think that's such a great thing.
Story. I got married at 29. I was never the girl who had like the binders full of like stuff ripped out of the bridal magazine when I was little. I was never that person. I never envisioned myself getting married. And then at 29, sure enough, it was like, well, everyone else is, I should probably do this thing, you know, even though in my gut, I knew I shouldn't. Like I actually freaked out 30 days before my wedding. And actually,
me too.
God, we've lived such parallel lives. That actually brings me to the next point. O is just own your outcome. So I owned it. I knew I should not walk down the aisle. I called my mom 30 days before my wedding and said, I can't do this. And I did it anyway, because I was still living for other people's expectations. And so I am very aware now. One of my biggest pet peeves as I get older is people playing the victim. And so there's a difference between being victimized, where you are the victim of a crime or of abuse, totally different. But playing the victim is not owning your outcomes. It's blaming external people and external circumstances for shit that you decided to do. So I am a big proponent of owning my outcome. So if I quit a job or get fired from a job, it was probably because I was doing certain things. I haven't written my book yet. I haven't finished it. I'm owning that. It's not somebody else's fault that I haven't sat in my chair and typed out the next 25,000 words of that book, So just owning your actions. If you're an adult, you're literally the only one making any decision. Yes, you can have voices from around you or in your own head, but ultimately, it's your decision. Even if you wanted to murder someone, that's your decision. You could do it. You probably end up in jail. I'm not recommending that. But, just like own your outcome, stop playing the victim, stop blaming your circumstances. We're all adults, just own it.
I love it. I love it. So take us to the U.
All right. U is uncomfortable. So it's get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So when I decided to really start honing my voice and being louder and saying whatever I felt like, it is definitely alienated some of my friends, some of my best friends. And it's been a really uncomfortable feeling. It's brought up a lot of questions with my parents, who are just very traditional baby boomers, like don't understand what it is I'm trying to do in this platform I'm trying to build online. And, they come from the generation where it's like, if you were a woman, you went to college to either get married, be a librarian, a nurse, or a teacher. And so my mom's really trying to wrap her head around what other options are available for women in my generation. But like being an author and public speaker, she still just can't really wrap her head around. And she just doesn't get what the word marketing means. She's always like, what do you do again? So it's just get ready for uncomfortable conversations. When you start really living your truth and being your authentic self, it's going to alienate people. But I want to tell you, it's a good thing, because you don't want to be kind of liked by everyone. You want to be desperately adored by a small few who just really get you. And once you feel that, then that's when you know that you are being totally true to yourself and you're speaking someone else's exact language. So
I love
it's gonna be uncomfortable though.
So by the way, if you can, this is something that, and I love Ashley Rodriguez is like, own my outcome.
Yes.
So in terms of, being totally, this is something that I know for myself. By the way, if you can relate with me, all you guys out there watching, throw an emoji up there. I want the, I want the thumbs up emoji. That's the one that I want. But if you can relate with, wanting to for everyone to like you or be accepted by everyone, put a thumbs up if you've been there before, because I'm going to assume we haven't been the only ones there, and there definitely is such a switch when you go, all right, you know what? Like that means I'm not being true to me because I'm trying to conform to whatever they like.
Right.
But when I am fully me, they're not all going to like me, and that's okay. But the ones that do are going to completely adore me. And I love how you said that, being totally adored by a few, versus being liked by so many. So I think that's a, go ahead. And
listen, when we're all brought up to be people pleasers. It's like they teach us on the playground when we're little, right? You need to get along with everyone. No, you don't. It's so funny. As a dog owner, I had a dog trainer tell me this, that it's like, why do we expect our dogs to come up to any other dog when we're on a walk or at the dog park and like every other dog and get along with every other dog and not nip or snap at certain dogs? We're human. We don't like everyone we've ever met. I mean, and if you say you do, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with your personality, because there's no way we all get along with each other. There's not, so it's just like, that's okay. We don't need everyone to like us, but that's a really hard thing to get over if you are naturally a people pleaser. And I feel like, especially as women, we have that need to be liked more because men can be a little more comfortable with their ego leading the way, especially when they're starting businesses. They're okay with having their ego lead and alienating a few people really to focus in on a target market. And for women, I found with my clients, that's really hard. They want to help all the people. And I think it's because we're naturally nurturers. And so we want everybody in our circle. But unfortunately, it's just human nature doesn't work like that. And again, if you're trying to please everyone, you're pleasing no one, because it's just your language is too generic and no one really gets who you are as a person. So I feel like, we had JP Sears as our speaker in Austin. And I just love how he was like, you know what? My business took off when I embraced my weird, when I totally, fully embraced my weird. And he goes, at first, I thought it was going to totally screw up my clients. Everyone was going to think it was going to kill my business. And he goes, my business has done basically 100-fold because I embraced my weird, because now he is speaking directly to those people who get him and they're going, oh, finally, someone speaks my language. So yeah.
It's huge. Ashley Rodriguez, she's like, that's me.
Embrace your weird, girl. Embrace your weird.
She's like, cry, cry, cry. She's like, all right, totally adored by a few. Low Burrows said there's a safety. Low Burrows said there's a safety in having everyone like you, but it's not fair to yourself.
Yep.
Amen, sister.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, in perfect example, you guys can see behind me my lit up unicorn on my desk there. So I have this huge thing with unicorns. Like I have them all over my office. People give them to me as gifts now. It's like a joke. Like I have unicorns everywhere. Kathy, you were at that costume party with me. I dressed like a unicorn, and I have never had so much fun in my life because I basically just went back to my 5-year-old self. And I'm like, this is my personality coming out. I'm just doing this fully to amuse myself. And people connect with that because they're just, and people who think that's weird, they're not meant to be my audience anyway. So you just have to let it go and just, own your own individuality, own your weird.
This is just such a great, affirmation. That's something that even for myself, I've been thinking about a lot lately. And I'm like, man, I need to step more. I have, even in the market space, right? And even as a life and business strategist, I've acted a certain way in terms of what I feel a business professional should act like, or look like, or dress like. You mentioned JP. I've been thinking a lot about this, and you mentioned JP Spears, and that was actually a big factor when I heard him say, he had this, he had his coaching, right? He was a life coach, and he shut off that funny part of him, right? And then he had his comedy side, and he loved doing comedy and had a lot of fun. But when he merged them, what happened is how it just really expanded. And I think about for myself in my life, those who know me, I know Ashley has seen a little bit that side who's on here. Anyone watching this, when it's playtime, oh, Kathy loves to play. I'm the life of the party. I'm the middle. I will dance till the music stops at whatever hour in the night. Like I love to have a great time. But when I'm in work mode, that person doesn't always come out. Actually, it's very rare that person comes out unless I'm on a stage. In day-to-day operations, I'm like, all right, let's go. We got to get stuff done. We got to get stuff done, right? And I lose that. And even since, I think all through college, there was this, straight A student, I was in honors college, playing volleyball, doing all this stuff. And then there was it's time for vacation, Kathy. And my best friend used to say, she's like, oh my gosh, you've got like two, it's like Dr. Mr. Jekyll, Hyde, right? Like Jekyll, She's like, I love seeing this fun, like laid back, super chill, like go with the flow side when we're on vacation. She's like, I wish more people got to see that. And I remember having a conversation once and I was like, yeah, you're right. But still, it's been like, well, now it's playtime. Okay, now it's work time. And it's these two people. And when I heard JP, I was like, man, just really like, again, that it's okay and own, like he said, own your weird. But what I really thought about was like, wow, how powerful could it be if I allowed and gave permission for the play side of me to come out more in my day to day, like what could happen. And that's just so exciting. So anyway, sidetrack there. So D, take us to the D.
All right, D. So when I first wrote these, I had ditch the doubt as the D. But especially as a new business owner and as an entrepreneur and hell, just as a human being, it's really hard to bury that doubt and to get rid of imposter syndrome. So I also have another part of this is ditch the doubters. So how to get over your own doubt and your own imposter syndrome is by surrounding yourself with people who just absolutely 100% believe in your vision, either because they've been there and done it before. So perfect example, like joining masterminds, following people on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube who have been there, done it before. So you can see someone like you who's at the next level or even 10 levels higher than you. And then just get rid of the people who don't understand what you're doing. It doesn't mean like completely cut them out of your life, but kind of phase them out of your life. And again, I've had some friends, some family members who I really have to move over. I have a personal Instagram. They can stay over there, but my business Instagram, they don't follow anymore because I didn't want to see the negative comments to what I was doing because of course, like it's so human nature. I could have 100 positive comments on a post I share or a live I do with women that are like, oh my God, this is so inspiring. This is what I needed to hear. And then you get that one aunt or uncle on there who's like, I don't understand why you just can't blah, blah, blah. And that's the one that'll stick in your head the rest of the day. So get rid of those people.
So true.
Don't give the doubters a megaphone, put them on mute. And if you take anything from this whole live, that's going to be my best tip of advice. Just put them on mute. That may be blocking them, that may be restricting them, that may be doing something else where if you were doing Sunday night dinner with your family and your family's not supportive, maybe start getting really busy on Sunday nights, and it's, and that goes back to being uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable to cut some of those people, to put them more on hiatus, but you have to take care of you, especially when you're building a business that's outside of the box, because you are going to have a lot of doubters. And the more your light starts to shine, the more those doubters are going to come out of the shadows and start trying to poke holes in your vision. Don't let them do it.
Oh, absolutely. I wrote about this, Kelly, in my book. There's a section that talks about just how to really sustain your success. And one of the things I talk about is givers and takers. And there's people, and when I talk about takers, I'm saying people who really take energy from you and like pull you down.
I call those energy vampires. Yeah. Get out your cross and garlic when those people come around, because you do not want them in your life.
Amen. Absolutely. And knowing who those people are and really restricting time with them, and knowing that if you spent a lot of time around or you were with family, what are you doing to counterbalance that and fill yourself back up, right? Because like you're not going to be in the space to serve at the level that you want to. And if there's certain people that are constantly bringing you out, like I love how you said, put the doubters on mute, but like you have to create boundaries and really, really be intentional about how much time you spend with those people. So we're already at class time, but I want to talk about.
We just had so much to talk about.
I know. We could keep going. I want you to share. I know you had talked about, I've heard you talk about grounding, and just as entrepreneurs, when we start going and go, and you can just kind of share around that. I'd really love our audience to hear more about that.
Absolutely. So I was in the audience at a conference. This was early last year, and I was taught this Ayurvedic technique where basically, as entrepreneurs, business owners, just smart, driven people, we tend to do this. We tend to be in this vata, which is like this energy above your head where it's ideation. So if you think like when you're in your head and you're doing all this creative work and you're coming up with ideas, and especially if you're an entrepreneur, it's like squirrel, shiny, and you're coming up with all these ideas all the time. And then when you go to the implementation phase, it's the pitta, the fire energy. So it's kind of around your throat and your mouth. And so you're going crazy ideas, implementation, crazy ideas, implementation. Well, there's this third part of Ayurvedic energy that's called hatha, and it's actually grounding. So even like putting your feet on the ground, coming down to earth, centering yourself, that a lot of business owners don't, or just crazy driven people don't do. We're constantly going from ideation to implementation, and we never take that time to stop and ground and recharge. And I've noticed this the past 2 years for myself, that every December, I seem to just run out of fuel, and I will go most of the month without really doing anything. This is when I'll binge watch shows like Downton Abbey, and I won't be able to get off the couch. And now I'm realizing it's because I go so crazy between Vata and Pitta all year long that by December, by month 12, my body and brain are just done, and they just need to shut down and ground. And so I just give myself that space now. I really run in sprints, which is, you do things in like a 3-6 week cycle, and then you give yourself an intentional week off just to come down and ground. And actually I'm doing that. in April is I'm just grounding. And the only thing I'm working on, I'm not taking on any new client stuff. I'm only working on finishing my book. And the rest of the time I'm not going out. I have no travel planned, and I'm just getting healthy, drinking green juice, and just enjoying time quietly at home. Because I have so much travel this year that I knew if I didn't take this time off in between a couple trips that I would just burn out. And so that's just being really intentional about scheduling time to ground, whether it's a day, a weekend, a week, even a month. And it's so important. Otherwise, we just do this hamster wheel and we never get off. And then that's when you burn out. You get, strep throat, mono, you have a nervous breakdown. I've had them all,
Absolutely. Well, we have, I think about for people as you're talking about this in the grounding. And to me, that really goes into that, really impacting those levels of energy, and something that I'm a huge believer in. And I talk about a lot, and really part of the premise for this show is to really educate people on how to elevate their energy so they can elevate their life. And energy, not just being physical, which is the foundation of our energy, but emotional energy, mental energy, spiritual energy, right? And so this is such a huge factor, and people don't think about it. And I see people who are in great shape, and that helps. It helps to be working out, and it helps to eat right. But if you don't take time to pause and refuel and make sure you refocus, and knowing what do you need, what relationships do you need to actually spend time with, right? Give time to. What do you need to foster? What time do you need to just pause and just connect with you?
Yes, absolutely.
Or your creator. What time do you need, even like for planning, right? Mental energy for me, when I know what needs to get done, or I take time for planning and I know when it's happening, my mental energy is on point. But yesterday I caught myself, I was crying yesterday to my husband, and I was like, I haven't had time to plan. And there's so much going on, and I haven't taken my days. And he knows that. I'm like, if I take one day to plan a couple months, it's go time. But if I skip that one day, which we've had stuff with our house and closing the house, it's just been crazy. But like my planning days got caught up with house crap, and I haven't had that time. And I said, I need that space. I need that space for myself so that I can get back on and make sure that I'm operating at, on full. Because right now, when it comes to my mental energy and productivity, I'm on reserves. It is not good.
Same.
I said,
this
need
happened
that,
to me yesterday. I got home from a week of travel. Actually, it was basically like 2 weeks straight of travel. The animals were being crazy. The house was a mess. I was being a total bitch. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to step away and do a little me time. So I took my book and a glass of wine out onto the deck, and I just had some alone time, read a couple chapters of a book, and it just like completely reset me. And it just, my personality changed, the way I interacted with everybody in the house changed. And I just viewed everything from a different lens because I just let myself come down and ground for a minute. I journaled a little bit while I was on the deck, just watching the sunset. I'm like, and I'm good now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So great.
Yeah.
So last question I have for you, and hopefully we'll get to have you back on the show in the future.
Anytime.
Is what if someone asked you, or I said, hey, Kelly, for you, what does it mean to live elevated? How would you describe that? What does that mean to you? How does that resonate?
I think living elevated is just really being intentional about who your authentic self is and what your strengths are, and how you can just shine that light on everyone that you come in contact with. So it's, instead of being ashamed of your weird and hiding who you are and living someone else's expectations, it's figuring out why God or the universe, whatever you believe, why you as a person were put on this planet at this exact moment, because there is a purpose, I promise you. And when you hone in on that and you just let your light shine, it is unbelievable the things that'll happen. It'll totally elevate life.
And by the way, in my book, I literally say, like, I believe, actually, I put those two together, that the purpose of our life is to find what makes us come fully alive and shine.
Yes.
And find what that is, find what that is. It just like lights us up so that we can be lights in this world. So this was awesome, Kelly. So glad to have you. Excited in the future when the book is done to be able to share, maybe get some of our guys on your launch team. And definitely, if you can comment on here with your, it's loudblonde.com.
Yep.
to put the website just so it's on here and people have it.
Absolutely.
Also how they can follow you on social media.
At Loud Blonde.
Yep, beautiful, simple, easy finder, just such great stuff. So I thank you again so much. I know that you've been on the road as well, and appreciate you taking time to serve our community and really give more of your light to this world. So thank you.
Heck yes, thanks for having me, Kathy. Safe travels.
Have a great day. Yeah,
Bye,
absolutely.
Talk to you later. Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.